Good morning and welcome back to Tactics Board. Finally, it's upon us. The East Anglian derby returns to Carrow Road this weekend for the first time in more than 5 years, and the pressure is on both sides. Ipswich are looking to get into the top two of the Championship. Norwich are trying to secure their place in the top six and the playoffs for the end of the season. Both sides will be desperate to get a win for those reasons, but of course for the all-important bragging rights in the east of England. You know the drill. I'm going to take you through the 11 I think David Wagner will choose for the game and why he might pick those players. So without further ado, this is the 11 I've chosen and the 11 I expect to see on the pitch for Norwich on Saturday. So I've gone for Angus Gunn in goal, Jack Stacey at right back, Shane Duffy and Ben Gibson at centre back with Sam McCallum at left back, Kenny McLean and Marcelino Nunez in the heart of midfield with Gabriel Sara on the right, Borja Sainz on the left and Ashley Barnes behind Josh Sargent. Up front, Norwich will need Angus Gunn after an impressive performance at Portman Road. They'll want him to replicate those derby heroics from the first half where really he kept Norwich in the game, produced some fantastic saves in the second half as well. And although Norwich have definitely improved from that first game of the season and the reverse fixture, it's clear that Ipswich do have clearly very good attacking output and they will test that Norwich defence a lot. Of course, they're missing Kiefer Moore and George Hurst, so they do have those key players out. I think Wes Burns is a bit of a doubt as well. So Ipswich maybe won't have their strongest attacking lineup, but we know tactically they're very good in that sense. They've got very capable replacements and they will still cause a lot of trouble. So if Gunn can be on top form, that would be huge for Norwich. You get the feeling he might have to pull off some good saves again, but based on this season so far, you'd back him to do so. At right back, Jack Stacey, who I keep saying the same things about really. He's definitely improved his performance since the new year. He's been fantastic really and a key part of Norwich's revival and their push for the top six since the end of last year. And you think actually that in this derby environment, although maybe defensively, tactically it is a bit of a challenging role playing as a fullback under David Wagner, he'll enjoy that physicality, he'll enjoy the pace of the game, and he could be a key player for Norwich again. So I've got him at right back, Shane Duffy at centre back, and there's not really an alternative. Jakob Sorensen is out for 10 to 14 days for a hamstring injury sustained in that 3-1 loss to Leicester, and I think you could tell the problems that Norwich are now going to face. Of course, defensively, Duffy is more of a natural defender. He has that sort of nous about him and he loves a header clear. So I think he will suit the derby in that sense, but you could tell that Gunn was quite keen to give the ball to Ben Gibson when they were passing out against Leicester. There wasn't too much trust in Duffy, and then, I mean, the evidence was there really. He gave the ball away a few times in very poor positions and invited Leicester to go and attack. So he'll need to sharpen up on that a little bit. He'll need to probably get a little bit less rusty, after obviously that amount of time out. But there are obviously aspects of his game that will suit a derby: the heading, the clearances, the timing of his challenges, the physicality that he loves. But it's about whether he can get up to speed quick enough, really, having missed so much time and not started since obviously sustaining that muscular injury. So I expect to see him at right centre-back. At left centre-back, Ben Gibson, and although he does have that distribution element and he will help Norwich in that sense quite a lot, if balls go in behind, you sense he could be in trouble. And with Ipswich and the way that they play, how quickly they can move the ball at times, that could be a problem. But if Gibson can get himself in a deep enough position, sort of against those Ipswich attacks, you get the sense he'll do fairly well. And again, not really much of an alternative. Also, he's been excellent in recent weeks, to be fair, to give him his due. It's not just because, obviously, of the lack of alternatives, and I'd expect to see him in at left centre-back. At left-back, I've got Sam McCallum. I've actually been fairly disappointed with his performances since Younulis has been out injured. I've been someone that's advocated for him throughout the season. I think whenever he's stepped up in Younulis' absence, he's been very good. But with this sort of extended absence from the Greek, when he's now almost guaranteed games, I don't think he's really stepped up, and that's a shame for him because obviously he's playing for a new contract. He's playing to prove himself, really, having been seen as the second choice throughout the season. But if he can replicate his performance in the other East Anglian derby, then I think he'll do very well. He was a standout performer in that one, did very well. But you look back at the last sort of 3 games, didn't think he was great against Stoke, thought he was quite good against Plymouth. And then in that game against Leicester, I thought he was very poor, actually. So he'll need to up his levels. He's somebody who, of course, I would back to do that, having had overall quite a good season until these last few games. But he'll be desperate to hit form again, obviously, in this absolutely huge game. And he'll be buoyed by the fact that he did well at Portman Road earlier in the season. In the centre of midfield, I've got Marcelino Nunez and Kenny McLean. And even in that loss, you could see how key Nunez was. He actually looked like the closest thing Norwich have to a defensive midfielder in their squad. He was covering so much ground, making so many tackles, and also on the ball. I mean, we all know what ability he has there. Took the corner, that obviously was the assist for Gabriel Sara's goal, and the only real chance that Norwich had of the afternoon. And yeah, everyone knows how important he is. So in this game, where Norwich will probably have to fight for possession, and Ipswich will want it, and Norwich will have to really stake their claim for a foothold in it, you sense Marcelino Nunez could be huge in that, as could Kenny McLean alongside him. Of course, he's got a little bit of that physicality, that athleticism that tends to suit these sorts of tense games. He's got that experience, that know-how. He's won an East Anglian derby before, of course, and we all know how important he is, one of the first names on the team sheet. So I've got him alongside Nunez in midfield. On the right, I've gone for Gabriel Sara, and this sort of debate around that right wing second striker position was the only thing I was really considering, because I don't think Sara's had the best couple of games, even though he did obviously score against Leicester, and I think he got an assist against Plymouth, and that probably tells you what a good player he is. I don't know if it actually counted as an assist, because obviously Sam McCallum's header or flick on was then nodded in for an own goal, but it was very nearly an assist. Got that goal against Leicester, and you can tell that how good a player he is because he's producing those moments even when he's not at his best. But tactically, although I think previously we were seeing the best from him in that sort of right wing role, I'm not sure we've seen that recently, and we've not really seen it against the best sides. So I thought that was something for Wagner to consider, but then you think about the other players he'll be trying to get into his team, and it feels like this is the sort of game where Ashley Barnes in that second striker role could be really important. At Portman Road, he definitely started things off with a bang, went in for quite a firm tackle on their keeper, Vladsky, and I think set the tone for what was a decent battle, and really seemed to thrive in that environment. I think on the ball he needs to offer a little bit more, certainly, than he did at Portman Road, but I think he's been doing that actually recently, and certainly since Josh Sargent came back into the team. So if he can be a bit more involved than he was against Leicester, he'll be a key player, not only because of those technical and tactical aspects, but it feels like this is actually the sort of game where you want those sort of intangibles that everyone talks about when they're talking about the positives of having Ashley Barnes in your squad. On the left, Ball tactically was huge, and that reverse fixture really gave Norwich an outlet when they were being penned in by that excellent Ipswich attack at times, and he may play a similar role tomorrow. I think Norwich will try and attack a little bit more because they're at home, because they're in better form than they were for that game. That might suit Sargent more. He might be in it a bit more, but also he does work as quite an effective outlet if there are periods in the game when Norwich are penned in, and you get the sense there probably will be. I think we even saw a bit of that against Leicester when Norwich were really trying to defend for their lives, and I thought Sargent had a difficult job doing that, but he still managed to create room for a couple of shots, went on some dangerous counter-attacks without really amounting to much. And although, I suppose that sums up his season at times, because he has produced some decent goals, some decent assists, but not quite as much as maybe his other output would suggest that he could. So I think he could step that up. I think Norwich could really benefit from that. But yeah, in this game, I think he could be a really important outlet. And then up front, Josh Sargent, and he could be the difference maker. When you look at that reverse fixture in this game, obviously John Rowe scored a couple of goals, and he'll miss out on this one, so that's a blow. But how different a team do Norwich look without Josh Sargent and with him? And it could be huge for them, the fact that he's obviously available for selection for this one. So he'll be up top. He'll be providing more issues for the defenders than probably they faced at Portman Road, and I'm sure Norwich fans will hope that that's the difference, because it is a huge game. Of course, we'll have every kit covered across our channels. Go to pinken.com/subscribe to access a £3 for 3 months deal right now. What a fantastic deal that is. For those of you going to Carrow Road, see you there. For those of you not, enjoy our coverage. And for now, thank you for joining me on Tactics Board. I'll see you again soon.